Silence protects your energy in ways most people never realize, because in a world where noise is constant and distractions are endless, silence becomes a rare form of strength. Every time you speak, argue, defend, or explain yourself unnecessarily, you expend energy. It may not seem like much in the moment, but over time, it drains you of the mental clarity and emotional focus you need to pursue your goals. Words require thought, they require intention, and they require energy. When you waste those words on people who don't understand you, who aren't invested in your growth, or who are simply waiting for an opportunity to criticize, you give away the very fuel that could have been poured into your vision. Silence, on the other hand, creates a space where your energy is conserved and redirected inward, toward building discipline, developing resilience, and sharpening focus. It is in those quiet moments that you gather strength, not in explaining every decision you make to those who are not even walking the same path. When you choose silence, you are not choosing weakness, you are choosing control. Think about how often people get pulled into debates, arguments, or endless conversations that lead nowhere. Each of those interactions takes time, mental effort, and emotional energy. And while you may feel like you are standing up for yourself or proving a point, the reality is that most of those battles were never worth fighting in the first place. Your energy is your most valuable resource, and silence is how you guard it. You don't need to respond to every comment, you don't need to correct every misconception, and you don't need to justify your journey to anyone. By remaining silent, you signal that you are too focused on your growth to be distracted by noise. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful one. The one who listens, who observes, and who conserves their energy often holds the greatest influence. There is a hidden kind of strength in being underestimated because of your silence. People often mistake silence for passivity, but in reality, it is a deliberate act of protection. When you don't give others the power to drain you with unnecessary words, you keep your energy intact for the things that actually matter. Your silence can be a shield against negativity, because not every provocation deserves a response. People may try to drag you into their chaos, but silence allows you to rise above it without exhausting yourself. When you master silence, you master the art of conserving energy for battles that actually count, for goals that move your life forward, and for visions that demand your full strength. In this way, silence is not the absence of communication, it is a form of communication itself. It communicates self-control, discipline, and an unshakable focus on what truly matters. Silence also sharpens your awareness. When you're not busy filling the air with words, you become more attuned to what's happening around you. You start to notice patterns, behaviors, and opportunities that others overlook because they are too distracted by their own noise. This awareness becomes a powerful advantage in both personal growth and achievement. In silence, your mind processes information more deeply, your intuition becomes clearer, and your decisions become wiser. You stop reacting to everything around you, and instead, you learn to act with intention. This kind of clarity is impossible to achieve when your energy is constantly being scattered in conversations that don't serve you. Silence protects your ability to observe, reflect, and respond with precision, and that precision is what keeps your energy flowing toward progress instead of being drained by distractions. Another way silence protects your energy is by preserving your emotional state. Every time you engage in arguments, gossip, or defensive conversations, you allow your emotions to be stirred up unnecessarily. Anger, frustration, resentment, and the need to prove yourself, these emotions all cost energy. The more you indulge them, the more exhausted you become, and the less capacity you have for creativity, discipline, and resilience. Silence acts as a filter. It stops those emotional leaks from draining you dry. When you choose silence over reaction, you are not suppressing your emotions, you are mastering them. You are deciding where to direct them, and you are refusing to let the world manipulate you into wasting your emotional power on things that don't matter. This kind of mastery makes you stronger, calmer, and more resilient in the face of challenges. Silence also gives you the space to recharge. Think about how much of modern life is filled with constant noise, phones buzzing, people talking, opinions flying, notifications demanding your attention. In such an environment, your mind is constantly under attack. Without moments of silence, you never allow your energy to reset. silence becomes a form of recovery. It allows you to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with your inner strength. In those quiet moments, you can reflect on your goals, remind yourself of your purpose, and regain the energy needed to push forward. Without silence, burnout is inevitable, because you never stop giving pieces of your attention and energy away. With silence, you create a sanctuary where your mind and spirit can breathe, and where your energy can rebuild. Ultimately, silence is a form of power that protects your energy not by hiding you, but by centering you. It shifts your focus inward, away from the chaos of the world, and toward the clarity of your own path. It keeps you from wasting your strength on meaningless interactions and directs it toward the work, the discipline, and the growth that will actually transform your life. The more you practice silence, the more you realize that not every battle needs to be fought, not every opinion needs to be answered, and not every voice deserves your attention. In conserving your words, you conserve your energy, and in conserving your energy, you build a foundation for long-term strength and success. Comparison is the thief of progress because it robs you of the most valuable asset you have in life, your ability to focus on your own growth. Every time you measure your journey against someone else's timeline, you take your eyes off your own path and hand over your power to external standards that have nothing to do with your unique purpose. The moment you begin to compare, you stop appreciating how far you've come and instead obsess over how far you appear to be behind. This mindset slowly eats away at your energy, your confidence, and your self-belief until you are trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction that prevents you from moving forward. The tragedy of comparison is not only that it makes you feel inadequate, but that it blinds you to the truth that progress is personal. No one else has your exact story, your exact struggles, or your exact potential, and so the race was never meant to be run side by side. Progress is measured against yesterday's version of you, not someone else's highlight reel. The danger of comparison is amplified in today's world where everyone showcases their success on display, but hides their struggle behind the curtain. Social media has created an illusion that everyone else is ahead, living better lives, and achieving results at a speed you can't keep up with. What you don't see are the countless failures, doubts, sleepless nights, and sacrifices that are cut out of the picture. Yet, when you compare your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's polished presentation, you automatically feel like you're losing. This is how comparison steals progress. It tricks you into thinking you are falling behind, even when you are actually making steady, meaningful growth in your own lane. It takes the joy out of your journey because instead of being proud of your efforts, you discount them by saying, "It's not as good as theirs." And once that voice takes over, your motivation weakens and your progress slows down, not because you lack ability, but because you allowed comparison to poison your perspective. Comparison also shifts your motivation from internal to external. Instead of chasing goals because they align with your values and vision, you begin chasing them because you want to match or surpass someone else. This creates a shallow pursuit that leads to burnout because it's not rooted in your true identity. For example, you might see someone build a business and suddenly feel pressured to do the same, even if that's not your passion. Or you might notice someone's lifestyle and feel the urge to replicate it, even if it doesn't align with your priorities. What happens then is that you waste years of your life pursuing dreams that were never yours to begin with. And because those dreams don't come from within, you'll never feel fulfilled even if you achieve them. Comparison steals progress by turning your compass away from your purpose and towards someone else's direction, leaving you wandering aimlessly instead of walking firmly in your own calling. Another way comparison kills progress is by breeding resentment and envy. Instead of being inspired by others, you become bitter about their achievements. You start to feel that success is a limited resource, and if someone else has more, it means there's less available for you. But success is not pie. It's not something that runs out because others have a piece. The problem with resentment is that it consumes the energy you could be using to grow. Envy is exhausting because it constantly reminds you of what you don't have while ignoring the possibilities already within your reach. This emotional drain keeps you stagnant because progress requires a positive, focused, and resilient mindset. You cannot build something great while you are too busy secretly resenting someone else's greatness. Comparison robs you twice, first by stealing your gratitude, and second by blocking your ability to move forward with determination. Comparison also undermines your confidence in subtle ways. When you constantly measure yourself against people you believe are further ahead, you begin to question whether you are even capable of succeeding. You start telling yourself stories about why you'll never be good enough, and those stories become self-fulfilling prophecies. Confidence grows through action, through the repeated practice of pushing forward and seeing results. But when comparison tells you that your results are insignificant, you stop taking action altogether. This paralysis becomes one of the greatest obstacles to progress, because you are no longer building momentum, you are stuck analyzing, doubting, and hesitating, and while you're standing still, the very people you compare yourself to keep moving, which only deepens the illusion that you're falling further behind. The truth is, you were never behind at all. You were simply distracted from walking your own path. The antidote to comparison is to focus relentlessly on your own progress, no matter how small it seems. Every step forward you take is a victory if it makes you stronger than yesterday. Progress is not about sudden leaps, it's about consistent growth. A single push up is progress if you couldn't do one before. Reading a single page is progress if you used to avoid books. Saving a single dollar is progress if you never saved before. The moment you shift your perspective to celebrate these small wins, comparison loses its grip on you. Because progress is not about speed, it's about direction. It doesn't matter if someone else ran faster, what matters is that you kept moving forward. When you focus on your own path, you create momentum that eventually leads to massive change. And that is something no amount of comparison can ever replace. Comparison is the thief of progress because it steals the one thing you absolutely need for success: belief in your own journey. Without belief, you cannot stay disciplined. Without belief, you cannot persevere. And without belief, you cannot find fulfillment in the progress you make each day. When you stop comparing, you take back that belief, and you realize that your pace, your process, and your progress are enough. You don't need to run someone else's race, because the only person you are meant to surpass is the one you were yesterday. That truth is what allows progress to continue, because it keeps your focus on growth, not on comparison, and it allows you to walk your path with strength and confidence. Discipline grows in private because the habits that shape your future are rarely celebrated or recognized in the moment you practice them. The late nights spent studying when everyone else is sleeping, the early mornings in the gym while the world is still quiet, the countless hours of work that no one acknowledges, these are the hidden sacrifices that eventually build the foundation of greatness. What most people fail to understand is that success is not a sudden explosion of luck or opportunity, it is the accumulation of consistent, disciplined actions done in silence when nobody is watching. It is easy to post about goals, talk about ambitions, or announce intentions to the world, but real discipline is proven not in what you say, but in what you repeatedly do when there is no audience to applaud you. In private, you face the rawest form of accountability: yourself. There are no eyes to impress, no validation to receive, and no judgment to fear. There is only the choice to either keep your commitment or break it. That is why discipline grows in private, because it is cultivated in the solitude of daily decisions that the outside world may never see. The truth about discipline is that it thrives away from the spotlight because public recognition often dilutes its purity. When you act only for applause, your consistency falters the moment the applause fades, but when you train yourself in silence, your actions are rooted in conviction rather than attention. Think of the athlete who runs drills alone long before stepping into the stadium, or the entrepreneur who works tirelessly on plans and strategies long before the first customer arrives. Their discipline is forged in private moments of repetition and effort that no one celebrates, and by the time the world notices their success, the habits behind it have been carved deep into their character. The world sees the performance, but it never sees the practice. The world sees the result, but it never sees the relentless preparation. This is why private discipline is so powerful. It builds a foundation that cannot be shaken by external circumstances, because it was never dependent on them in the first place. Discipline in private is also where the battles of self-control are fought and won. It is easy to be disciplined when someone is watching because accountability adds pressure to perform. But when no one is watching, when the choice is entirely yours, that is when your true character is revealed. Do you hit snooze or do you get up? Do you stick to your plan or do you make excuses? Do you finish what you started or do you quit halfway? These decisions, repeated daily in silence, shape who you become. The small victories won in private create an internal strength that compounds over time, making it easier to face bigger challenges with resilience. Without these private victories, discipline crumbles under pressure because it has no real roots. With them, you develop an unshakable ability to push through discomfort, delay gratification, and stay committed even when no one is there to recognize your effort. Another reason discipline grows in private is because it requires patience, and patience is not something the world celebrates. People love fast results, quick fixes, and overnight success stories, but discipline does not operate on that timeline. Discipline is slow, steady, and often invisible. It requires showing up day after day, stacking small habits until they create massive change. Because the results don't show immediately, many give up before they ever see the payoff. But those who remain disciplined in private understand that progress often looks like nothing is happening until suddenly everything has changed. Just like a seed grows roots underground long before it breaks the surface, your discipline grows in private long before the results become visible. By the time others notice your transformation, the discipline behind it has already been cultivated in silence for months or even years. Discipline also grows in private because it teaches you to value the process over the praise. When you train yourself to stay committed even when no one sees or acknowledges it, you begin to understand that discipline is not about external validation, it is about internal growth. You stop relying on motivation, which is fleeting, and start building consistency, which is lasting. Motivation might get you started, but it will abandon you when things get hard. Discipline, however, carries you through the difficult days, the uninspiring days, and the days when quitting feels easier. And it is in private, when you are alone with your struggle, that you learn to cultivate this discipline. Every time you choose to keep going in silence, you prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your circumstances, and that lesson cannot be taken away from you. There is also a deep humility that comes with growing discipline in private. It reminds you that real growth doesn't need an audience, and true strength doesn't need recognition. When you work silently, you eliminate the temptation of showing off half-finished progress or seeking approval before the work is complete. This humility keeps you grounded and focused on the bigger picture. It prevents you from being distracted by superficial validation and allows you to pour your energy fully into the process of becoming better. In the end, it is this humility combined with consistency that creates undeniable results. When the world finally notices your achievements, it will look sudden to them, but you will know it was anything but sudden. It was built through years of quiet discipline. The private nature of discipline also creates a sense of intimacy with your own journey. In silence, you learn to trust yourself, to depend on your own strength, and to respect the commitments you make to yourself. You realize that the most important promises are not the ones you make to others, but the ones you make to yourself in the stillness of your own thoughts. Keeping those promises builds a deep sense of integrity and self-respect that fuels even greater discipline. Because once you know you can rely on yourself in private, you become unstoppable in public. No amount of doubt, criticism, or external pressure can shake a person who has proven their own resilience in silence. This is why discipline grows in private, because it is in those hidden hours, those unseen decisions, and those uncelebrated sacrifices that you forge the strength to rise when it truly matters. Not everyone deserves access to your plans, because not everyone is capable of handling the weight of your vision. The truth is, your goals and dreams are fragile in their early stages, like seeds that need protection before they grow strong enough to withstand storms. When you share them too soon or with the wrong people, you expose them to doubt, criticism, jealousy, and negativity that can suffocate them before they ever have a chance to grow. Most people are not trying to hurt you intentionally, but they see your dreams through the lens of their own limitations. They judge what you want to achieve based on what they believe is possible for themselves, and in doing so, they unconsciously plant seeds of fear and hesitation in your mind. This is why discernment is so important. Because if you give everyone access to your plans, you risk letting their disbelief dilute your confidence. Protecting your vision is not about secrecy for the sake of mystery. It is about creating a safe environment where your dreams can develop without interference. The mistake many people make is confusing support with understanding. Just because someone cares about you does not mean they will understand or support your vision. Even those closest to you, friends, family, coworkers, may not be able to see what you see, and that's okay. It's not their responsibility to understand your dream, it's your responsibility to protect it. When you share your plans with people who cannot grasp the magnitude of your goals, they may respond with skepticism. They may remind you of the risks, point out the obstacles, or even laugh at the audacity of your vision, and while their intentions might seem harmless, those words can linger in your mind and weaken your belief. Dreams do not need mockery or doubt in their infancy, they need commitment, faith, and action. This is why silence is often the most powerful shield you can use in the early stages of building something great. Another danger of giving everyone access to your plans is that some people will actively try to discourage you, not because they want to protect you, but because your ambition exposes their lack of it. When you begin to aim higher, you remind others of the dreams they abandoned or the risks they were too afraid to take. Instead of being inspired, some people respond with envy, and envy often disguises itself as criticism or sarcasm. They may say things like, "That's impossible," or "You're not cut out for that," or "Don't get your hopes up." These words are not reflections of your potential, they are reflections of their own fear. Yet, if you allow too many of these voices into your space, you will start questioning yourself, not because you lack ability, but because you absorbed someone else's limitations. This is why not everyone deserves access to your plans, because some people will try to shrink them to fit the size of their own comfort zone. Even well-meaning people can unknowingly sabotage your vision. Sometimes their love for you makes them overly cautious. They don't want to see you fail, so they try to steer you toward what feels safe and predictable. But safety and predictability rarely lead to greatness. What feels safe often keeps you stuck, and what feels predictable often keeps you average. When you give too much access to people who prioritize comfort over growth, they will encourage you to settle, not because they want to harm you, but because they cannot imagine living outside the boundaries of security themselves. The problem is that if you internalize their advice, you might trade your bold vision for a watered-down version of it, one that keeps you comfortable but unfulfilled. Protecting your plans means understanding that their fear is not your fear, and their limits are not your limits. Not everyone deserves access to your plans because not everyone has earned the right to contribute to your journey. Your dreams are sacred, and who you allow into that space matters. Just as you would not hand the keys of your home to a stranger, you should not hand the blueprint of your vision to people who have not proven they respect it. Some people cannot be trusted with your plans because they will misuse the information. They may share it carelessly with others, mock it in conversations, or even use it to compete against you. Others may simply drain your energy by questioning you at every step, forcing you to defend your choices instead of taking action. Every ounce of energy you spend explaining yourself is energy you could have used building. This is why selective silence is essential. Not as a wall of isolation, but as a filter of protection. You do not need to explain your every move because your results will explain them for you. Keeping your plans private also strengthens your discipline. When you talk too much about what you are going to do, you get a false sense of accomplishment. Your brain releases the same satisfaction as if you had already achieved something, even though you've only spoken about it. This false reward can weaken your drive to actually follow through. But when you keep your plans to yourself, the only way to experience that satisfaction is by doing the work. Silence keeps you hungry, focused, and committed. It removes the temptation of seeking validation before you've earned it, and forces you to rely on progress rather than praise to stay motivated. Protecting your plans is not only about shielding them from others, it is also about protecting them from your own tendency to talk instead of act. Lastly, when you protect your plans, you create an element of surprise. The world is not entitled to know what you are building. Sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is to let your actions unfold quietly until the results are undeniable. This not only protects you from unnecessary interference, but it also amplifies the impact of your success. When people see the finished product of your discipline and determination, they are forced to acknowledge it, regardless of whether they believed in you before. By then, your dream is no longer fragile, it has grown strong enough to stand on its own. That strength was built in the silence of your private work, shielded from the noise of opinions and the weight of other people's expectations. Focus creates clarity because when your attention is divided, everything in life feels complicated, overwhelming, and scattered, but when you direct your energy toward one clear path, the fog begins to lift and you can finally see where you are going. Most people live in a constant state of distraction, trying to balance too many goals, listening to too many opinions, and reacting to too many external pressures. The result is mental chaos that makes it impossible to know what truly matters. Without focus, even the simplest tasks feel heavy, and progress becomes painfully slow because energy is leaking in a dozen different directions. But when you commit to focus on one goal, one priority, one clear direction, you reclaim the mental bandwidth that was once wasted on distractions. That concentrated energy acts like a magnifying glass, turning scattered light into a powerful beam that can cut through confusion and reveal the path forward. Clarity is not something that magically appears, it is the natural outcome of a focused mind. When you focus, you give yourself permission to eliminate the noise that clouds your vision. You stop chasing every new idea that comes your way, you stop comparing your path to what others are doing, and you stop allowing minor setbacks to derail you. Focus brings order to your priorities by forcing you to ask the hard questions: what truly matters right now? What actions will bring me closer to my vision? What distractions must I cut away to stay on course? These questions become easier to answer when you are focused, because you are no longer trying to be everything at once. Instead, you channel your energy into what matters most, and that decision alone brings incredible clarity. Suddenly, the confusion that once consumed you begins to fade, because your direction is no longer dictated by external noise. It is guided by an internal compass that points firmly toward your goals. Focus creates clarity because it simplifies your decisions. When you are scattered, every option looks tempting and every choice feels heavy. You spend endless hours debating, doubting, and hesitating, which drains your energy and steals your momentum. But when you are focused, decisions become easier because you measure every choice against your ultimate goal. If it aligns, you pursue it. If it doesn't, you let it go. That simple filter eliminates unnecessary stress and frees you from the paralysis of overthinking. With focus, you stop wasting time chasing things that don't move you forward, and as a result, you gain speed and direction. This is how clarity emerges, not from trying to do everything, but from narrowing your vision to what actually matters. Focus also sharpens your awareness. When you concentrate deeply on one thing, you begin to see details and opportunities that would have been invisible in a distracted state. It's like tuning a radio to the right frequency. Suddenly the static disappears, and the message comes through loud and clear. The same principle applies to life. When your attention is scattered, everything feels blurry, but when you focus, the noise fades and the truth becomes visible. You notice patterns, you recognize mistakes more quickly, and you identify opportunities with greater accuracy. This level of clarity is not available to the unfocused mind because distraction blinds you to what is right in front of you. Focus trains your vision so that instead of being overwhelmed by the complexity of life, you can see the simplicity hidden beneath it. Another reason focus creates clarity is because it builds consistency, and consistency reveals progress. When you jump from one goal to another, you never stick with anything long enough to see results, which creates a sense of frustration and confusion. But when you focus on one direction and stay consistent, progress becomes measurable and obvious. This visible progress reinforces your clarity because it proves that you are moving forward. Every step, no matter how small, becomes evidence that your focus is paying off. Over time, these small wins compound into undeniable results, and those results strengthen your vision. The more progress you see, the clearer your path becomes, and the clearer your path becomes, the more motivated you are to continue. This cycle of focus, clarity, and progress builds unstoppable momentum that keeps you moving forward with confidence. Focus also protects your energy, which directly contributes to clarity. Every distraction you entertain drains your mental and emotional power, leaving you too exhausted to think clearly. But when you are focused, you stop scattering your energy across unimportant tasks and you preserve it for what truly matters. This concentrated energy allows you to think more deeply, plan more effectively, and act more decisively. Instead of being pulled in 1,000 directions, your mind is anchored to one purpose, and that alignment creates mental clarity. You no longer waste time second-guessing yourself or chasing meaningless pursuits. You channel everything you have into one clear direction, and the path ahead becomes easier to see. Focus creates clarity in another powerful way. It silences doubt. When your attention is scattered, doubt creeps in easily because you feel uncertain about where you are headed. The lack of progress makes you question your ability, and the endless distractions make you wonder if you are wasting your time. But when you focus, you eliminate the noise that fuels doubt, and you replace it with deliberate action. Each focused step forward builds confidence, and confidence clears away doubt. The more you focus, the less time you have to entertain negative voices, whether they come from within or from others. Clarity is born when doubt is silenced, and doubt is silenced when focus turns intention into action. Finally, focus creates clarity because it aligns your actions with your purpose. Without focus, you drift aimlessly, reacting to life instead of directing it. You spread yourself thin, trying to please everyone and achieve everything, but in doing so, you lose sight of who you are and what you want. Focus forces you to strip away the excess and reconnect with your core values and deepest vision. It reminds you that you cannot walk every path, you must choose one. And when you do, the fog begins to clear, the distractions lose their power, and your life gains direction. Focus is not just about working harder, it is about working smarter by aligning your energy with your purpose. That alignment is what transforms confusion into clarity, noise into direction, and scattered effort into meaningful progress. Results speak louder than words, because in a world where everyone is quick to talk about what they will do, only a few people actually follow through and prove it with their actions. Words are cheap, they require no effort, no sacrifice, and no discipline. Anyone can declare their intentions, announce their plans, or promise great things. But results cannot be faked. They are the undeniable evidence of consistency, effort, and resilience. When you produce results, you don't need to argue with critics, justify yourself to doubters, or convince anyone to believe in you. Your progress speaks on your behalf. Results silence noise, because no amount of debate can erase the reality of what you've built. People may question your methods, they may doubt your potential, they may underestimate your ability, but once they see the results, their opinions no longer matter. Results are the final word in every conversation, and they carry a weight that words alone never will. The reason results are more powerful than words is because results are measurable. Words are promises, but results are proof. Words can inspire for a moment, but results inspire for a lifetime. When you show results, you demonstrate that you had the courage to move beyond talking and into action, that you pushed through difficulty, and that you stayed committed long after the excitement wore off. Anyone can talk when they're motivated, but only discipline creates results when motivation fades. That is why results command respect. People may ignore your speeches, but they cannot ignore your achievements. Results make people listen to you even if you never say a word, because they represent not just what you've done, but who you had to become in order to do it. Results also have the power to silence your own doubt. Many times, we hesitate to chase our dreams because we question whether we are capable of achieving them. We wonder if we have what it takes, and those questions can paralyze us. But when you start to produce results, even small ones, your confidence grows. Each result is a reminder that you are capable of more than you thought. When you wake up earlier than usual and stick to your routine, that is a result. When you complete a workout you once avoided, that is a result. When you finish a book, save some money, or take one step closer to your goal, those are results. And as they add up, they build undeniable evidence of your potential. You no longer have to wonder if you are capable, because your results prove it. Words may inspire hope, but results build certainty. Another reason results speak louder than words is because results cannot be debated. Opinions can argue against your plans or your intentions, but they cannot erase the reality of what you've done. A person can tell you that you will never succeed, but once you show results, that argument collapses. This is why results carry more influence than any speech or debate. In fact, results often transform doubters into believers. The same people who once laughed at your ambition may later applaud your success, not because their opinions were valid, but because your results forced them to acknowledge the truth. You don't have to waste time defending yourself to those who don't believe in you. Let your work speak, because results are the most powerful response you can give. Results also have the unique power to inspire others in ways words cannot. Words can motivate for a moment, but when people see actual results, they witness what is possible. Your actions become a living testimony that success is achievable. For example, if you tell someone they can change their health by exercising, they might nod politely but dismiss your advice. But if they watch you transform your body through discipline and consistency, your results will inspire them far more than your words ever could. Results create a ripple effect because they give others proof that effort pays off. Your journey becomes a roadmap for those who are struggling, and your results become the evidence they need to believe in themselves. This is how true leadership is built, not through empty speeches, but through visible results that others can look up to. Results speak louder than words because they endure. Words can be forgotten, but results remain. People may not remember every promise you made or every speech you gave, but they will remember what you accomplished. Results create a legacy that cannot be erased. They stand as permanent markers of your discipline and determination. A great athlete may deliver many motivational speeches, but what defines their legacy are their records, their victories, and their championships. An entrepreneur may talk about innovation, but what solidifies their name are the companies they built and the impact they made. Results outlast the noise of words, because results are tangible proof that you took action when others only talked. Another way results prove their power is by shifting how people perceive your worth. Words can make others curious, but results earn their respect. People trust those who produce results because results are a reflection of reliability. If you say you can do something, that may spark interest, but if you actually do it, that builds trust. Results prove consistency, and consistency builds credibility. When you consistently show results, people begin to view you as someone dependable, someone who delivers, someone whose words mean something, because they are backed by evidence. Over time, this credibility opens doors, attracts opportunities, and builds influence that words alone could never achieve. Finally, results speak louder than words because they reflect the truth. Words can be exaggerated, manipulated, or fabricated, but results do not lie. They are the raw, honest outcome of your choices, habits, and actions. They show whether you truly committed to the process or whether you only talked about it. This honesty can be uncomfortable because results reveal not only success, but also failure. If you didn't put in the work, the lack of results will expose that reality. But this honesty is what makes results so powerful. They cannot be faked. They show exactly where you stand, and that clarity, whether painful or empowering, is what pushes you forward. Words might comfort you in excuses, but results force you to face the truth of your effort. And in that truth lies the power to grow, improve, and achieve more than you ever thought possible. Patience and stillness are two of the most underrated strengths in a world that glorifies speed, noise, and constant motion. Everywhere you look, people are rushing, chasing, and filling their lives with endless activity, believing that doing more automatically means achieving more. But true progress is not about how fast you move. It is about how intentional your movement is. Patience allows you to endure the process without being consumed by frustration, and stillness allows you to gain clarity in the middle of chaos. Together, they create a foundation for resilience, wisdom, and strength. When you master patience and stillness, you stop reacting to life impulsively and begin responding with power. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter and start conserving it for what does. The ability to wait without anxiety and to remain calm when the world is chaotic is one of the greatest forms of discipline a person can develop. Patience teaches you that everything meaningful in life takes time. Growth, success, transformation, and healing are processes that cannot be rushed. A seed does not become a tree overnight, and no amount of forcing will speed up its natural timeline. The same is true for your goals and dreams. If you demand instant results, you set yourself up for disappointment. But if you practice patience, you allow yourself to endure the stages of growth without giving up. Patience does not mean passivity. It means understanding the timing of life. It means knowing that even if the results are not visible yet, the work you are doing is not wasted. Every action you take, every habit you build, and every challenge you endure is adding up behind the scenes. Impatience blinds you to progress because it makes you look only for immediate evidence, but patience allows you to trust the process, to keep building, and to stay consistent long enough for results to manifest. Stillness, on the other hand, is the strength to pause, to reflect, and to listen to the quiet truths within yourself. Many people confuse stillness with inactivity, but stillness is not about doing nothing. It is about creating space for clarity. When you are constantly moving, constantly talking, constantly chasing, your mind becomes cluttered and restless. You cannot hear your intuition because it is drowned out by the noise of the world. But when you practice stillness, you give yourself the opportunity to step back and see things as they truly are. Stillness gives you perspective. It helps you recognize which battles are worth fighting and which are distractions. It teaches you how to direct your energy with purpose rather than scattering it in every direction. Some of the most powerful decisions you will ever make are born in moments of stillness, because it is in those moments that your mind quiets down and your inner wisdom rises. The power of patience and stillness also lies in their ability to protect your energy. When you are impatient, you burn yourself out by trying to control outcomes that cannot be forced. You stress over timelines, worry about delays, and waste energy on frustration. But patience frees you from that cycle. It allows you to conserve your strength and focus it on what you can control: your effort, your consistency, and your attitude. Stillness protects your energy by shielding you from constant stimulation. In stillness, you are not pulled by comparison, not distracted by noise, not drained by other people's chaos. You are centered, grounded, and focused. This combination of patience and stillness creates a deep inner strength that allows you to move forward steadily while others exhaust themselves chasing shortcuts. Patience also builds character. It forces you to confront discomfort and teaches you how to endure challenges without breaking. Many people quit because they expect progress to be quick and easy, but patience teaches you that struggle is part of growth. It transforms waiting from a burden into a training ground. Every moment you choose patience, you are building endurance, resilience, and mental toughness. You are proving to yourself that you can remain committed even when progress is invisible. Stillness, in turn, builds self-control. It prevents you from making reckless choices in moments of pressure and helps you avoid being manipulated by urgency. When others rush, you remain calm. When others panic, you remain steady. That composure becomes your advantage because decisions made from stillness are stronger than those made from fear. Patience and stillness also amplify the quality of your results. Rushed work is rarely your best work, and impulsive actions rarely lead to long-term success. But when you combine patience with stillness, you allow yourself the time and clarity to execute with excellence. You move with intention rather than desperation. For example, an artist who rushes their work will produce something shallow, but an artist who patiently takes their time, who allows stillness to guide their inspiration, will create something timeless. The same principle applies in every area of life, whether you are building a career, a relationship, or a personal transformation. Patience and stillness allow you to create results that last. Another profound power of patience and stillness is how they transform your relationship with time. Instead of fighting against time, you learn to flow with it. Instead of seeing waiting as wasted time, you see it as preparation. Every season of stillness is an opportunity to grow roots, to build quietly, and to prepare for the next stage of your journey. Just as winter is not wasted time for a tree, it is a season for roots to grow deeper. Your seasons of stillness are not empty, they are essential. Patience helps you endure those seasons without resentment, while stillness helps you embrace them with peace. When you stop fighting the timing of life and start trusting it, you unlock a level of freedom and strength that impatience will never give you. Ultimately, patience and stillness are not weaknesses, they are superpowers. They allow you to remain calm in storms, to trust the unseen, and to move forward without being enslaved by urgency. In a world where everyone is rushing to prove themselves, patience gives you the confidence to take your time, and stillness gives you the clarity to choose wisely. When you learn to wait without worry and to pause without fear, you gain control over yourself in ways that few ever do. And with that control, you are able to create progress that is not only powerful but lasting, because it was built with discipline, intention, and unshakable clarity.